Welcome back, everybody, to the Forge of Freedom podcast. We're here with our second guest of the day, Ben Liebing. I believe I'm saying that correctly.
You got it, Ben.
Okay.
Exactly.
So Ben is here with Hillsdale College, and Ben doesn't even know this, actually. We met just yesterday briefly, but my father has been a subscriber to Imprimis.
Yeah, that's all right, everybody.
For quite some time, and now I'm a subscriber myself, and I've always enjoyed reading those. But I've become more acquainted with Hillsdale College in recent years. I actually stopped by the booth a couple of years ago and talked to some folks, and I learned about other programs that you have, the shooting sports program, the K through 12 classical education. So we will get into a little bit of that here today. But if you would, just starting out, introduce yourself, what your connection is to Hillsdale, what you do for Hillsdale now.
Totally.
And then we'll get into a little more detail about Hillsdale College.
Right. So I attended Hillsdale 2004 to 2008, which each passing year seems like longer ago.
But sure.
I'm the oldest of 5, and all my younger siblings ended up going to Hillsdale as well. So I had 4 younger siblings. So my parents have been proud Hillsdale parents, for about 20 years at this point. So we're a Hillsdale family. Born and raised in Cincinnati, so about 4 hours south of Hillsdale. And Hillsdale's in south central Michigan, little small town right on the Michigan hand, right there. Hillsdale's claim to fame, above all probably, is A, great classical liberal arts education, but B, the fact that we take no government money whatsoever.
Which has been in the news a little bit recently, right? Because there's so much discussion about these institutions, these Ivy League institutions who are receiving federal funding.
Right.
And Hillsdale, of course, doesn't have to worry about that because they've never accepted federal dollars.
That's correct, and really that came to a head in 1984 is when we had our official final break with the federal government. And it's funny, with Harvard being in the news, my mother-in-law looked at me the other day and she goes, "Well, Hillsdale doesn't get any money. What does Harvard do with all this extra money they get?" I said, "That's a great question, isn't it?" So Hillsdale, no federal money. We privately fund everything, and over 90% of our students are on some kind of merit or need-based scholarship. So we fund an actual tremendous amount of scholarship for our students. So it's a really neat thing.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've always appreciated about Hillsdale is a lot of people like it because they sort of stand for the classical sort of conservative, somewhat education.
Right.
I don't want to pigeonhole the education too much, but people I think who go to Hillsdale tend to be conservative or libertarian minded.
Right.
And but nevertheless, that's not necessarily required, right, to appreciate the classical education that you receive there.
No, not at all. And Hillsdale was founded in 1844 by Free Will Baptists, but for a long time it was not technically a Christian school. So it does not have we're technically a non-sectarian Christian school. We don't have an affiliation, don't have a statement of faith. So when I was there, it always leans that a lot of the student body tends to be religious and Christian of some stripe, and conservative of some stripe, but there are folks there who are not conservative in nature at all, politically or culturally, and there's a bit of diversity of opinion, especially when I was there. I had good friends who were on the complete other side of the political landscape. So it's not as dyed in the wool as you might think it, and it prides itself on that. We want to be a college of open ideas and asking the why questions, questioning why do we believe this, thinking critically, thinking through, okay, history says this, why, how do we know what we know?
Right.
And that's
an essential component, right, of a classical education.
Exactly.
Is that critical thought and really questioning your beliefs or what you think you know, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've come to learn about Hillsdale is not only do they have the Imprimis publication, they have lots of other educational resources. There's podcasts and all sorts of other. What other resources are available just to the general public? You don't have to be affiliated with Hillsdale.
Absolutely. Great question. Hillsdale has done, since I graduated, they've done a tremendous job of putting out many more resources available to everyone. The number one I would say right now is the online courses. Again, second to Imprimis. You can do a simple Google search, Hillsdale online courses, and we have a tremendous library, and adding more every month almost, of well-produced. Think of it as a Hillsdale College lecture meets a YouTube series.
Yeah.
And then they're beautiful. We've got them on the Constitution, on every aspect of history, on the influence of the progressive left in America, the Genesis story in the Bible, for example. So the whole gamut. So online courses are a huge resource. And then another great tool aside from Imprimis and the online courses are the podcasts. So we have Hillsdale College Podcast Network. I think we have about 8, and again, I could be fudging that number a little bit. It might be more, it might be less, but about 8 different podcasts in our network, from the Hillsdale Free Radio Hour to our president Larry Arnn does a show with Mark Levin right now called Life, Liberty, and Learning with Mark Levin,
Sure.
Larry Arnn.
Yeah.
And that's a great series. I think they've got about 8 parts in that right now.
Yeah.
So the Hillsdale podcasts are building gradual steam as well and becoming a tremendous resource.
Yeah, and I can recommend the courses, the online courses, as well as the podcast. I haven't listened to all the podcasts, but I've listened to a fair number of those.
Yeah.
And they're excellent.
No, I haven't listened to near all of them either. There's a lot of material there.
Yeah, well produced and great content.
Yeah.
So we're here at the NRA annual meeting, and as I said, I spoke to a few folks from Hillsdale a number of years ago. I believe it was at the Indianapolis show, and I want to talk a little bit about why Hillsdale comes to the NRA annual meeting, right? Because
that's a great question.
You're not really here for the Second Amendment directly, right? You're here to promote the college, but one of the things that I want to talk about is this connection between the classical education and individual liberty, and how that ties into the right to keep and bear arms. Do you mind to comment on that?
No, absolutely. And it is funny when you think about it, because I looked around the other day and I think we're the only academic institution here at the NRA show. This is all gun makers and tactical folks, military, and here we are, Hillsdale College. Obviously, the Second Amendment is hugely important, but Hillsdale almost stands behind that in its educational work and saying, hey, we're here to obviously inform the well-educated, properly functioning citizen. And that's somebody who knows the Constitution to begin with, at least in broad terms. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the second guarantees the first. We've heard that a lot. So the NRA and Hillsdale have had a long brotherhood, I guess you would say, in some ways. We have even folks that work for us that overlap with the NRA. We've shared staff members with the NRA in some ways. And so the Second Amendment is crucial to protecting the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, which really is freedom of thought. And we stress that a lot at Hillsdale. Sure. If you're not free to say things, you're not really free to think them.
Yeah.
And so now, how that works out in real life is, for example, Hillsdale has this shooting sports range now that we've developed, and people kind of even I tilted my head at first. And I said, "Well, we're doing what?" Because that was not there when I was in school. Sure. So all of a sudden, we've got this 113-acre shooting range. It's about 10 minutes away from the college campus. The U.S. Olympic rifle team trains there. We have a national. We recruit students for our national shotgun team. We travel all over the country competing in shot.
Yeah.
And so, you could get into the philosophy of what shooting actually is and what that means. But there's a way you can etherealize these ideas and think about them in the high and lofty ways, but then there's actually taking a gun in your hands and learning how to use it.
Right.
And that's a tactile, important thing to do to guarantee your own individual rights, but then also to practice an art.
Sure.
Which shooting absolutely is.
Yeah. It's amazing. I've never been to the facility there at Hillsdale College, the shooting sports center, but I did see a map of it. It looked like an incredible facility, as you said, over 100 acres and just an amazing setup, it looks like. So I'd love to see that someday. But one of the things you mentioned that a lot of people say the Second Amendment was put in place or adopted to protect the First. I see it. I'm sympathetic to that view, but I see it as there being more of a synergistic relationship there, not just between the First and the Second Amendment, but between understanding the ideas and the principles of liberty and
I know what you mean.
And protecting the Second Amendment or the right to keep and bear arms more broadly, irrespective of the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. Because the way I see it, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is that basically the ideas precede liberty, and people have to understand the principles, the values, the virtues that go along with liberty and a free and prosperous society. And I think that to the extent that people are equipped with those ideas and can communicate those ideas to others, the less likely we are to need the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms, right?
Exactly.
The right to keep and bear arms is there as sort of a fallback, as more of an emergency relief valve, so to speak. So
you're talking more about, it sounds like kind of the idea of what personal sovereignty really
sure,
means.
right,
Is it right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, to some degree. So I see the sort of the mental capacity, the mental ammunition,
Right.
that foundation of the ideas of liberty as the foundation that protects the Second Amendment, and then also vice versa, the Second Amendment
Right.
there to
Right.
protect
Right.
the ideas, the thought, the personal sovereignty that we have.
100%.
Yeah,
I agree with you completely.
yeah, and I think Hillsdale does a great deal to help cultivate individuals who have that expansive
Right.
thought, that foundation to be able to go out in the world and communicate those ideas.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're oh, go ahead.
Oh,
We're big on the why. So I feel like all of our students graduate with being able to answer the why question. That's always
yes.
what I'm proud of about Hillsdale. What we pride ourselves on is, if you ask us a question, we can answer it.
Right.
Not just with a talking point, but actually a thought through answer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's not just, so often people they come out of high school and they've gone through 12 years of being taught what to think
Yeah.
and how to regurgitate information, but not how to think about that information,
Right.
And how to really engage with it. And so
Right.
I think that Hillsdale really emphasizes the why and the engagement with the ideas and the information.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's what the classical tradition is all about,
Yeah.
building the analytical mind in accordance with, the whole person, the whole spirit, mind,
Right.
body, and spirit, truth, beauty, and goodness, as we say.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Perfect. Well, you mentioned that there's some relationship between the NRA and Hillsdale. I'll give a shout out to one of your professors, David Rainey. He's a professor of history. He spoke at the legal seminar here on Friday.
That's right.
He also is an NRA board member, a relatively new one, but he spoke at the membership meeting yesterday, and I thought did an incredible job speaking at the membership meeting in support of a resolution. But the vote was close, and this is where I want to give him kudos. The vote was close.
You have to tell me about this, because I don't know. I wasn't in there. I don't know the details.
Yeah. So there was a resolution, a motion actually, to refer a resolution to a committee, and I don't want to get into too many of the details.
Right.
He supported the motion to refer the resolution to committee, but the vote was very close. And ordinarily, they just count the vote by a look around the room and a show of hands.
Right.
But it was so close that there was no way you could get an accurate count.
Right.
And so they did what's called a paper ballot, where people tear off a tag and say yes or no to the motion.
Oh, getting close.
And but you have to have 100 members to get the paper ballot.
Okay.
So there has to be a show of hands of at least 100 members to even get to the paper ballot.
Okay.
And so David supported the paper ballot, even though the initial show of hands was supportive of his position. And to me, that showed that he really cared about transparency. He really cared about a credible vote count. He really cared about making sure that the members got what they wanted. And
Absolutely.
So I really appreciated that about him. I think it showed a great deal of character and concern for the memberships.
That's great to hear.
Really, their desire. So
that is the Hillsdale way.
That's the Hillsdale way.
Yes.
That's right. So
that's neat.
Yeah. I don't want to get into too much of the shooting sports offerings at Hillsdale, but if you would talk a little bit about what Hillsdale has to offer. We talked a little bit about their complex there.
Right.
What sorts of programs or offerings do they have? I mean, I think you even have scholarships for some of these teams, right?
We do, and as a matter of fact, I know some of these off the top of my head, but I did bring my handy pamphlet with me, so I'll walk you through it as I walk through right here. But we have a shotgun team. These two we recruit for. Recruit for the shotgun team. We competitively recruit across the nation for that. And again, this is one of those things that, as a non-shooter myself, in my college years, I had no idea this existed and it was this competitive. But the shotgun sport is incredible, and we have a truly world-class team. We have then an action shooting team, an Olympic air rifle, and a pistol club team. So that's a club team, not an official college team.
Okay.
And then we also offer college courses, safety courses.
Oh, neat.
Right. I believe they're partnering with, and I could be wrong about this. I would have to double check, but I believe they partnered to do your concealed carry, classes and licensure at the range.
Okay.
And then we're also developing an indoor archery range as well.
Very cool.
So right now it's almost, I believe it's going to be done in June or July. But we've got an indoor archery range and then also an indoor 50-meter air rifle range and pistol range, as well as all the outdoor bunker, trap, and ski.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are here at the meeting and are hearing us talk, be sure to stop by the Hillsdale booth. You've got a brochure there. It looks like
this is our handy shooting sports brochure.
That's specific to the shooting sports.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But is there a place people can go if they're not here in person? They can go online to find out more about the shooting sports programs.
Absolutely. And again, a simple Google search of Hillsdale Shooting Sports will take you right to the website.
I'm doing a DuckDuckGo search. Hopefully that works.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's the Halter Shooting Sports Education Center is the technical name.
Okay,
so
I'm going to pull it up here.
It'll be right
there. I
there.
think I found it.
Yeah, it should be. Yep, you got it exactly.
All right. So there you see it, the John Anthony Halter Shooting Sports Education Center. You can see the picture there. Looks like a nice clubhouse, I suppose.
It's a beautiful, there's a lodge there. We serve food,
Lodge,
do events there. And we also have some lodges where you can stay overnight, come up for an extended stay.
Nice.
We have 4 lodges there and are building more, as a matter of fact. So it's going to be a bit of a retreat center as well.
Okay. Very cool.
So it's a beautiful place.
Well, it's got a link here to the Shooting Sports website. And then it's also got information here about the range and the range manager. So if you have questions about, is this open to the public at all, or do you?
It is open to the public, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Okay. So the public can stop by anytime. Pretty normal business hours. Sometimes, again, the Olympic team will be there practicing or shooting, and parts of the range will shut down for that.
Okay.
But in general, it's an open to the public facility.
Okay. Excellent. And you can see here, there's some pictures, overview, like drone pictures. It looks like of the facility. Looks like a really incredible facility.
It's a big place. 113 acres, like I said. It's a tremendous piece of land.
Fantastic. Well, Ben, I really appreciate you stopping by the booth today to talk about Hillsdale, their educational offerings, their unique position in a world that's full of federal funding and grants, and I really appreciate that Hillsdale is one of the unique standouts, in not accepting any federal money or the puppet strings that come with it.
Right.
So that gives Hillsdale a lot of autonomy to do what they think is right.
Absolutely. It's funny to kind of be the last man standing on the wall and to look around and say, where'd everybody else go? But it's a privilege to do it. And we have, and again, this is a shout out to all of the Hillsdale supporters and people who know the college, who support the college. It's an incredible family. It really is. And it's grown, of course, nation, really worldwide at this point, of folks who know, love, and support the college.
Yeah.
And it sounds cheesy to say, but it makes the wheels go round. It makes it all possible. Yeah. And those people ensure the freedom of the college, the freedom of thought that continues there. So
and I've never been there, but I feel some connection to it because of the value that it's provided to me. So
absolutely, So, come up to campus, man. We love to host anybody and everybody at campus. So
I'll take you up on it.
If you ever get north,
I'm from southern Indiana, so I'm not too far away.
Not too far away.
Just a little south of Cincinnati, as a matter of fact. So
okay.
I'm about as far south as you can go.
4 or 5 hour drive up to campus. That'd be good.
So,
all right.
Well, Ben, thanks a bunch for coming along.
Thanks, man.
Really enjoyed the conversation. Good luck with the rest of the show.
Oh yeah, you too.